My goodness. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Let me gather up the cousins over on Instagram. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's conversation is actually me and Hubs are here tonight. We are here discussing our joint journey to spiritual freedom. And when I walked away from the cult like experience that I was a part of, I did not walk away alone. I walked away with a family and a husband and all of that. And a lot of the women who have been watching this series who have reached out have mentioned that either they walked away and their husband did not, they walked away and lost a spouse, or they walked away and their spouse is still there and they're still married and they're kind of trying to figure it out together. So I said it would be maybe helpful for some for me to bring Hubs on. Hey, Ty. I have hurricane here tonight, y'all. So y'all gotta get the puff. But for Hubs to be here, he's plugging up. He said I'm giving Shaka Khan. He's plugging up the and there he is. So if you are here and you want to partake in this conversation, we're going to be on Instagram for a short time, but we're actually going to be on YouTube. Hey, YouTube, how are y'all tonight? Hey, Hubs. Hey,
Kev, peace, Kev.
I look taller
Kev,
than
you're the
you.
man, but people know you're not. The people that know us know you're not. Yeah, she is not taller than me. It's the hair.
It's the hair, and I have an extra pillow.
Let me get my posture right.
Oh my goodness.
But
Anywho,
it don't matter. I'm dealing with ego. I'm dealing with conquering ego. None of that matters to me.
listen, all praises. So tonight we are both here to have this conversation because thus far it's been just me sharing. I know that even here on YouTube, like this lady reached out and she was like, "See, your husband, he got you into this and he's the problem." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, ma'am." But I think it would be valuable for folks to hear from you.
Well, y'all gonna get it tonight. Y'all gonna get something tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, for those who don't know me, I am I was about to say Amiri.
And I'm Yahya.
Of feminine success. I'm like masculine success, I guess.
Masculine success. There you go.
But
yeah. I'm Yahya. Some of you know me as Jazz. I am a life and business coach who has been on sabbatical for a little while. Built a beautiful and amazing coaching business. Good evening to my clients who I'm sure are here in the audience already. But who has been on sabbatical and who in that time has decided to lean fully into my creative gifts. And so I am writing and recording under my name, my government name, which is Jazz, or shortened. But so you will in the future be knowing me by that as well. Anywho, we are here in this specific series sharing our experience of spiritual freedom, of stepping away from a very strict fundamentalist organized religious situation and into our divine connection, divine gifts, calling, path. And in my mind, taking out the middleman when it comes to connecting with the Most High. But yeah, it was a trying journey into that experience and out of that experience. And we know a lot of folks who are starting to feel a call to evolve in your spiritual journey, and tradition keeps us where we are.
keeps us
Tradition.
boxed in,
Yeah.
And I feel like in this time, in these days and times, we have to really connect with our ability to be outside of the box,
Mm-hmm.
to be evolved. So anything that you're in, whether it's religion or anything, it may not be healthy to stay in one place for a long time. You have to evolve. You have to, if where you are doesn't allow you to evolve within it, then you can't stay in it. Because if you don't evolve, if your soul is yearning for you to evolve, then if you stay in one particular area, you slowly die.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's spiritually, mentally, and even in some cases physically, when you struggling against something that creates ulcers and stress and all
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, and you
Ooh,
slowly
you went
begin
somewhere.
to die physically. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's like the three realms of life: mental,
Mm-hmm.
physical, spiritual. So if it's bothering you spiritually, then it
Mm-hmm.
eventually bother your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and that will transfer over to physical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And there's science that backs that.
yeah,
So
for
you're
real.
absolutely
So
right.
and that's the point. That's when we talk about evolution.
Mm-hmm.
When we dealing in traditional religions or anything traditional, is solely based on one thing. But it may be what we have learned as spirituality. But when you get into spirituality deeply, it's like levels to it. You know what I'm saying? So what you may have learned from traditional ways of thinking or traditional things, the science of it. We like to separate church and science and all that. Not to take it to that could be a conversation for later.
Yeah.
But science is a big part of evolution,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't separate the two. Eventually, we have to merge. Everything
Mm-hmm.
comes together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
It's about
saying? Yeah,
union,
yeah.
divine union. And um I guess we can kind of reverse engineer the conversation, because we were kind of going to start with what attracted you to it in the first place, but really it's like what pulled us away, what attracted us and what pulled us away are kind of the same thing. When you walk into a religion, any path, a higher path, or what you think is a higher path, your goal is usually to come into union with God.
Mm-hmm.
um for me, for me, it happened for me earlier than it happened for him. But for me, I realized that I wasn't finding union there. Too many divisions were being created, and it was division between us versus them. Division between in the body. Division. It there was so much division, and even like when I started this live, I said a lot of the women who've reached out said that when they walked away, their spouse stayed. Now, granted, everyone has a unique and different spiritual journey. That is just what it is. We are all on very individual journeys. My journey has looked different from his, even though we are journeying alongside each other. That being said, there's a union here in our agreement to journey together.
Right.
We are one in our agreement to journey together. And when you see that a division in a church or a division in a group divides the household, the family, the masculine and the feminine, when you're seeing that kind of division, that lets you know that environment is not an environment of divine union. That is an environment that breeds division. And the thing about divisiveness, duality, it can't exist. It can't be compartmentalized. So if you are dividing your spirit and your body, and you're saying, well, spiritually I'm gonna do this and physically I'm gonna do this. Spiritually I don't really want to do this, but I know I gotta do it. I gotta do, like, you that duality is going to continue to exist all over your life. You're going to continue to be double minded. The scripture tells you a double minded man is double minded in all his ways, not some of them, all of them. And so when you start to notice that division, the division is everywhere. And when we walked away, or when we started to seriously say, oh, this isn't for either one of us, the divisions that existed within that space started to show themselves so clearly. There was division amongst the leaders, there was division amongst the husbands and wives, there was division amongst the children and parents, there was division. It was just showing up everywhere. And so we knew, okay, our next evolution in this is coming closer to divine union. So we're going to have to, in a unified way, take the next step on our journey.
Yeah, and it put in question like what you loyal to. So I know we
Yeah.
loyal to the household, like straight up and down. That was the cap of the agreement. So when you start to see things that's divisive, what like once
Yeah.
again, whatever it is, you have to question. I go, who are we gonna be loyal to?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and the division was evident. You know, things that went against our spirit became evident.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually, God a yank you around. You know what I'm saying? Let you look. Wait, this if y'all serious about evolving, which is like the life, which the makeup of life, then these things have to happen to kind of wake y'all up and to see,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, maybe it's time to move on. And at the time, we didn't understand how we understand now what was happening, but the fact of the matter is that
Mm.
we in this together with any and everything, and it's rubbing our spirit together. That started that ought to be enough. Maybe not for everybody, but sometimes, most times in our relationship and in our household, when things clicking in the same way for each and every one of us, that's an automatic decision.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so. It took me a little longer because that's why I opened up with what you're loyal to, because I was this was something I got into. I was introduced to, and these guys were like father figures to me, and it was something that I was trying to stay loyal to, hoping to get the unity that it once was.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it could find its way back, but the divisions and the rhetoric, all kind of stuff just started to be more prevalent, and we just was like, you know what, this clearly this we have to move on. We have to find bigger and better things, and the journey became self.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of videos where we discuss like individuality is just as important as the relationship. You have to
Mm-hmm.
find yourself as an individual, know
Mm-hmm.
yourself as an individual. But that became more, yeah, it became heavier then, because now I have to discover myself, because a lot of what I knew as a man came from the brothers in those circles. Like, just like I said, they were father figures. So a lot of what I learned about being a man, a righteous man, came from it. So now I have to rediscover what it truly is to be a righteous man or an evolved man, and that led us down another journey of self-discovery, and just open different doors, for evolution. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You said something good, that I think, that I have seen a lot of people, and I think even more people, if enough people have reached out to me about it, more people have questions about it. Um, you said that when it started to rub our spirits, we did not know what was next, but we just said, okay, it's time to make a move. So often it's hard to have courage
Mm.
to break with tradition or to change anything, whether we're talking about a cult religious situation or we're talking about
It
the
varies.
cult of corporate America, the
Right,
cult
right, right.
of
Work
we get a job,
yeah,
we do
yeah,
this, we
yeah,
do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and that's how it goes, and that's tradition, and that's what it means to be a man or means to be a woman or whatever, and your spirit is telling you something else. What was it for you? Because he's definitely the one who is more thoughtful, more like takes his time with things. I will get started and think about it along the way. I will I will put it together as I go. And he is more of like, let's make sure that it's the right thing. I believe in rapid obedience. I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. And granted,
It's a balance. It's a
miracles
balance.
happen.
It's a
I
balance.
see things like come together that I would have never seen come together if I'd taken my time and thought about it and talked myself out of it. So, but what was it that finally gave you the courage to say, it's time? I'm stepping away, even if I don't know fully what is on the other side of this.
So, I harp on father figures so much because that that's near dear to my heart. But when I seen certain people that I looked up to have like actions that contradicted stuff they even taught, you know what I'm saying? It
Oh,
was
we're gonna
like,
get into that.
you know,
So Instagram, y'all come over here to YouTube and get the rest of the conversation.
oh yeah,
Feminine
she
Success on
cutting
YouTube.
y'all off on the
See
good
y'all
stuff.
later.
Um, and not even necessarily get into it just yet, but to that was it for me. It's like, well, and you often tell me this, and I appreciate it every time I hear it. Is that you don't need confirmation from the king all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The message to black men is it's within us already,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of the message. Is like, well, if my quote unquote leaders or people I look up to are doing questionable things that's creating division amongst people who even love them themselves, it's like, whoa, I really got to pay attention to this. And
Mm-hmm.
do I want this to seep into my house?
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually it will.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my opportunity to nip it in the bud. Like no, this time. It's time to just, and in the once again the time to evolve was just like heavy too. It's something you can't fight all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've been, it's like we learn the same things, like, even from when I broke away from the Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and it's so repetitive. It's like, and it's never nothing
Mm-hmm.
new. And in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
stages of where we were, it was always every Sabbath there was something new, something edifying,
Yes,
feeding our spirits.
because the content was new to us.
That's what we were evolving
Right.
in that time in life.
Mm-hmm.
And but even then it was new stuff being brought out, like, just, but
Do
it
you
was,
think they were teaching anything that they had not been taught?
no, well, of course not.
So the messages to me,
Well,
now
yeah,
that I am looking, like, step back and look at the whole picture, they were
yeah.
teaching the same things that they had been taught 20 years prior to teaching it to us.
And that
And
so
those
that
messages were still the same
that goes to the
messages.
point. These things are pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
how can you, and unless it's your
And if
job
you
to
pay
teach this.
attention, most pit stops look just the same. When you're traveling, some of them might be nicer than others, but the basic format is the same.
Now, I also believe that it still is their assignment to stay there and teach what they teach.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
like the guide
For
to
sure.
the gatekeeper of the pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say let's call it something like portals, I guess, or
A portal, a learning portal.
So
That's a good one.
these are places you go along your journey in life, and those people are the gatekeepers to guide you to the next spot.
The issue for me is when the gatekeeper believes that you should stay at their gate and never go and learn anywhere or gain any further, deeper, higher, because now the gatekeeper is making it about themselves and not about what is on the other side for the student. A teacher, it's like, for me, it's like a teacher saying, yes, you need to be educated, but you need to stay in this grade right here. You don't need to learn anything further. A true teacher desires for their student to continue to hunger and thirst for knowledge and growth and learning, to grow and fulfill themselves and their purposes. And that division was one that I could not deal with, was the division between person and purpose. This idea that there's you, and then there's the church, and then there's your purpose. No, Like I need to come and ask you or get the okay from you or whatever have you to fulfill what I've been designed to fulfill? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely not, because no one else is going to have to recognize that. And I don't even, it's so interesting because the journey just takes you in so many different like understandings. But it's no longer this fear of I didn't fulfill my purpose, but I desire to experience the fullness. Christ said, I have come that you may have life and that much more abundantly. The abundance, the fullness of life, and not this separation between me and God that says there's me, there's the curses, and then there's God. There's me, there's the struggle, and then there's God. Like, no, no, that is not what I'm here
and that's
for.
why the word evolution, evolving, you're gonna just hit it a lot, because without that understanding, you don't even know you're boxed in. You don't even know that you're relinquishing your power.
Right.
You're not even. We are here to give ourselves to what we doing, our mission. We here to give our. So if we in a box learning the same things, and even with the gifts and talents that we do have, it was expected to just pour that all into this box. You know what I'm saying? But we have to. I may be here to reach billions of people. You know
In
what
a
I'm
different
saying?
way.
In a different way,
Mhm.
and I think that's it too. Like when you try to stay in a position for longer than you're supposed to, it'll get chaotic. It'll get chaotic. Once again, you're gonna stay and die here in many different ways, or you're gonna move on. And things got for me, things got chaotic enough to be like, no, I don't even want to be a part of this. I don't even want to, be affiliated with the way things were going on in this particular organization. So yeah,
So there are people who also say, okay, you don't want to deal with that organization. What about the lifestyle? What about the that understanding?
Oh, now see, what I will say now, what when we discuss even joining this organization, whatever, was the discipline and the structure. So it was some things that I learned that helped me structure my life in a more effective way, I would say, or a more efficient way, as opposed to what I knew coming out of the Catholic Church and just regular church in general. Things that I noticed that were taught that were good for health reasons. You know what I'm saying? Dietary
Specific,
laws,
I'm thinking
stuff like
about
that.
like fasting.
Fasting, it brings clarity, all that type of stuff. Even give you to your digestive system of a break. A break every now and then. And so most of us should know the qualities of fasting, and that's why I learned that. Even holidays, man, like different
There are fasts in
celebrations.
the Catholic Church.
Man, if it taking me this long to answer and remember, it
Because
wasn't
I
as
did not.
effective.
I grew up in a lot of different churches that were not Catholic.
But
I grew
a
up
lot of
mostly.
Catholic stuff was more so made you feel like punishment type stuff, like
Yeah,
wretched type things, like
confession, that kind of thing.
and
Would
in
you
this
say?
confession, yeah, confess your sins. But what I've learned is you can confess your sins to yourself or in prayer,
Yeah.
with God, or to directly to that person that you offended,
That you offended,
or
right?
that thing you did, or you stole that.
Go say sorry.
Go
That
say
is
sorry.
confessing.
Go bring that shit back. Go bring it back.
You know what I was thinking about today? I was just thinking about, this is completely off topic. There was one time in my adulthood, actually, I was rude to a librarian. It was
With the librarian.
it was a one of those days, and then I don't know, she might have had an attitude. Miss Kiki, oh my goodness, or something, but I just was not so nice to her. And I did go back. I went by. I saw a little thing in Walmart or Target or somewhere, and I got her a gift, and I brought it back. And I was like, I was really not nice to you. And she was like, I don't even remember that, but I don't know. Yeah.
But that
Anywho,
was for you.
but that
That
was
was
a
for you.
confession, right?
Yeah.
And that's you know so often in these spaces there is the division between you and your sin, even this belief that Christ stands between you and your sin. You are accountable. Like, say sorry.
Right. Right.
Repent for real.
But yeah,
And that's more so to yourself, and that's something that the spiritual journey has given me is a lot more accountability for what is going on in my life, a lot more responsibility. Um, and I think that a lot of times we don't want that. We want to put it all on Jesus or God or
yeah.
whatever have you. Put it all on the pastor or the priest or whoever. But
You're
it's
giving
important that
away
we
your
wake up
power.
and carry our cross,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That we carry our crosses, that we own our power for good and for bad, so that we can truly stand as the scripture says, ye are gods, so that we can truly be gods of this earth and not um, asking people for righteousness, asking people for justice, asking for these things. We can get back in control of the earth like we are supposed to be. That requires us. I'm not saying that anybody should walk away from their religions. This is really about like our
Yeah. This is
journey.
our journey. Yeah.
Because for some people, those spaces are exactly what is right for your journey at this
Right.
time.
Right.
At that time, that was what was right for our journeys. It even taught me like patience. It taught me to adjust to my husband's pace of things because I've been ready to go. But it taught me like, okay, did you die? Are you harmed by having to wait this situation out? Okay, you'll be okay. And that has helped me to wait other things out with more grace, ease. So often we ask for grace and ease, and y'all know how we do over here: softness and beauty and ease. But when we ask for those things, we don't realize that the beauty of a pearl comes from the oyster. It comes from oyster is not the prettiest thing on the ocean floor. It's down there to clean up, and it's getting an irritant inside of it that's bugging it for so long that it builds up this beautiful layer around that irritant. Um, and I look at my spiritual journey now as like the pearl that came out of that oyster.
Yeah, you know that what I received from that too. I think so there's a difference from when you're fed up with something,
Yeah.
you're done for good.
Yes.
So if you like, I ain't feeling it today, but that leave a little wrong. Like maybe I was tripping.
Wait.
Maybe I was tripping. Let me go see. And that'll keep happening and happening until you fed up.
Yes.
Like I ain't
Yes.
fam. That's a wrap on that. So we just got fed up. But you know,
I learned that this situation is, I think, the first time I have seen that for real in you, because you have the patience of Job. You really do.
but when you fed up,
you were like, don't even mention the name. Don't, none of it. I don't want to hear none of it. Don't.
And you know, and it's all love.
Right,
It's
love.
all love because I've even seen some of the brothers, and it's all love. And then that kind of that's one thing too. That though, it's like when certain, make sure I'm saying the right stuff. Certain things that were happening were like major. I'm talking major people.
I said some of the things.
Major people,
like details already.
Yeah, well, major people in the congregations were leaving.
Oh yes, I mentioned that.
Yeah, in certain ways that the people there was handling it was off-putting too. It's like, well, what, we grown men or middle schoolers here? So so that was like, well, by then I was already fed up. Once again, not not like F y'all or none of that. It's just my spirit was fed up.
Mm-hmm.
And and then seeing that too was like, yeah, I I'm not tripping. And when you're fed up, fed up. You could trust fed up.
Right.
You can't help it because it's like, no, if yeah, you can't you can't help but to trust fed up. So
Yeah.
when I saw certain things play out with the division and with certain people that thought like I thought, then I was like, yeah, this I can't even force myself to even go back because it's you showed a different side of your character to me that I
Mm-hmm.
can't even respect. And a lot of these, and it would be from people that was quote unquote brothers, like tight, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it make it leaves
That
the
is
question.
why it's a cult. That
Yeah,
is cult
it leaves the
behavior.
question: is this really you doing this, or you just doing this to either impress somebody
Mm-hmm.
or doing this because somebody telling you to do this? And that's another thing too. I am a whole man out here. Like you're not gonna tell me to do certain things that's gonna go against my character. That's not gonna happen. That's just not
Y'all
gonna
done
happen.
brought the New Orleans out of law.
So you know what I'm saying? At that part, and it was a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
started to rub me too, like getting permission for certain things
Mm-hmm.
that I had that. So I'm encouraged to be the Christ or the King of my household, but then I have to get permission to do certain things in my household. This kind of rubbed me the wrong. I don't know about all them
Oh
other
God.
manly
Men.
manly men in there, but I mean
Hold on.
me, it just rubbed me.
Okay. Okay. Because I don't want to seem like I'm being shady because I am laughing and you're saying manly men and all of that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The
it is
brothers
what it
are
is.
men. They're grown men. It's just the protocol that they follow is a little different than what we're willing to. And they
And I ain't
say
trying to
that
shade
that's like
nobody at all.
rebellion and all of these different things. And really, rebelling against who? Rebelling against who? You?
Now, if so, all right. If I'm given instructions to do something a certain way, then I should be trusted to carry out those instructions or that guidance. I'd say
Mm-hmm,
to carry
mm-hmm,
out that guidance. And if I don't carry out the guidance, it'll get back to you, and then we could handle it as men that way. But me having to ask if I can do a certain thing with my family or with my wife or with my children, that'll, and we talking about beneficial. We all quote unquote righteous here. We all, walking the right path. So if I'm asking this or if I'm planning to do this, I'm doing it in righteousness.
mm-hmm,
And to have to ask simple for advice on simple situations, not even advice. Can I do certain things on simple family or life things? Then that also rubbed me too. So I was like,
mm-hmm.
well, I don't know if I. And then and also how would that even make me feel? Wondering how my wife would feel. Like how does that make her feel? With me as the leader of my household having to ask for permission or whatever from, you know what I'm saying? And we're not talking
Well, a lot of
guidance
those
here.
situations, they don't the woman's that specific situation, and folks can say, oh well, I don't feel oppressed, and I don't all of these things. Um, in those situations, how the woman feels is the least of their worries. It's you're actually considered, and that's another thing when it comes to how did you get the courage to walk away from that kind of situation, because men are considered a simp or
Oh
weak
yeah.
or whatever have you if they care
Yeah,
how
yeah.
their woman feels about something, and the woman is expected to just be quiet, sit down, and all these different things. And there is value in knowing how to use your silence as a woman. And I don't mean giving somebody the silent treatment, but I mean being able to still yourself and quiet yourself. What I see in that environment, though, is not a lot of women who are truly silent, who are truly still. There are women who have shut their mouths and closed their throat chakras, but they are screaming. And their behavior and their attitude and all of these things about them, their passive aggression, all of these things are screaming. And they think that because they're being silent, that they are being righteous according to God. And that's not what God designed for us as women or as men. The peace and the stillness and the silence. A woman is silent when truly still and silent when she's at peace, when she's safe, when her voice has been heard, when she knows that the people around her are fully considering her, not just her, but her offspring and her wellness, and contributing to that. That's when a woman is truly silent and able to be a force within a community. A woman being shut up, because that's more so what's happening, is that the women are shut up in those communities. A woman that is shut up is a ticking time bomb.
Mm. And we've seen it in several instances in that very organization or
Yes.
in church or anywhere.
Yeah.
A ticking time bomb. And me personally, I my appreciation for women is just out the roof. So I can't certain things that were happening there. It's just I didn't even understand. And also too, being blessed with the wife that I have, I understand how effective, how beautiful, and how the list goes on and on. A woman's wisdom, especially a smart woman. If you're silencing a woman's wisdom, then you pretty much shooting yourself in the foot, like literally. And I know there's a ton of women in churches, different organizations with wonderful insight, wonderful knowledge, wonderful wisdom that can skyrocket that organization. But they won't allow it because women are supposed to be silent. And
that was a part of it for me that I could that is when, and I mentioned that in a previous live. Personally, if I'm in a car with a bunch of men who are driving and they don't have the skill to drive and they are crashing every time they turn the corner, and they don't want to listen to the women just because they're women, not because they're not skilled drivers or anything. They could have all the skills in the world, but because you're a woman, you hush and you go write it down on a piece of paper, and maybe if we like you enough, we'll answer. I'm not about to play these games with y'all. I'm gonna grab my family and we're gonna go ride with a skilled driver.
And then you don't know people's background. You don't know what people been through. It's like people done been out here living on their own, striving, making ways for themselves, and all that, and then have the experience to make it through all kind of waters and terrains and all that. And just because you are this particular person is quote unquote the leader and hasn't been through any of those things and trying to lead a person that knows and a whole flock of other people that don't know, that's very dangerous. And once again, you know what? I think a lot of those men need to sit through home births too.
Listen, some of them are sitting through home births. Some of them are forcing their women to have home births, even if the woman does not want a home birth. Some of them,
and that's interesting too. And I say that to say that, but the strength, the strength of a woman, because we like to, and I say we because I believed a lot of this stuff. Not necessarily, like not most of it now, not pretty much not any of it, because I'm on a whole nother level as far as my journey and evolution and all that. But how the women are the weaker vessel and all that. Now, as far as physicality, maybe lifting stuff and being macho and strong, yeah, maybe so. But a person that can push out another human being and still live, that's just one instance where we're talking about who's really strong here. Because I know if I had to do that,
oh my goodness,
Humanity ends at me.
Oh,
Humanity ends
or the
at
first,
me.
because you would have to have like a first experience. So humanity would probably end at the first child. How
Humanity.
would you know it hurt if you didn't do it at least once?
Well, I don't even have the equipment to do it. First of all, how, Sway? First of
Okay.
all, how, Sway?
Okay.
Yeah, and so a man logically like, nah, I don't know. I don't even know that's gonna work. I'm good. I'm good on that. Make one of them women. Make one
Oh
of
my
them. Make one of them
goodness.
women things that can the
Listen.
technology of a woman.
I hate y'all,
And
the technology.
and you know, but also too, I remember one time we was there, and we this was like our first couple of times physically going,
Mm-hmm.
and class was going on or whatever, and I would look around and just be checking on you, just looking checking
Mm-hmm.
on you, and you brought something to my attention after class or whatever. It was like I didn't know if you was gonna do that. I didn't know if he was going to even acknowledge that I was there because most of the men there don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't engage with their woman, and other than I don't know. I hope they're doing it at home, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like when it went there, it's like no signs of affection towards their wives, and hearing the story, you know, no names being told.
Whew.
They were it
The
was a trip.
many
There were a trip
stories.
where one of the guys was loving on his wife, and one of the leaders was like, "Man, what you doing, man? You with your wife too much. Come over here with the brothers."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And
Yeah.
then we talking about in
And
an
it was like
environment.
an island trip that they had
Yeah,
all gone
yeah.
on, like a cruise or something like that. Listen,
And that's just one
when
instance. One instance.
you're old and gray, your spouse is who God has put you with to be there if you are put together by God. Now we know what this is, okay? So we're not talking about those of you who maybe, because marriage is highly encouraged in those environments, but it's encouraged in a way of, well, you don't want to burn in your lust, so get married.
Mm.
And not in a way where you are really mindful that you are connecting with the one God has for you. And listen, at the end of the day, you're going to learn regardless. It'll be an experience, whether it's equally yoked or unequally yoked. You will have the experience you're supposed to have. However, um, this is us. And in those environments, again, there is this division where in a cult situation, that entity puts itself as the wedge between you and the natural things in your life. We could even look at like the cult of consumerism, the idea that we have to. I've had people literally come to our gardens and our spaces and see fruit and vegetables on the plant and be like, "Can we just eat that?" Like,
Right.
there's like, you can just eat it, you can just like pick it and eat it.
Pick it and eat it.
We have fallen for these traditional beliefs that there has to be a middle between you and your partner, you and your children. The school exists between you and your children, and it's like,
Mm.
well, what does the government think, or what does the this think, or what? That is not how we are designed to be. um Between us and nature, there are all these wedges, and when you're in these cult like communities, they create the wedge where it's the wife, the cult, the husband, the mother, the cult, the child, whatever it is. There's the filter is that institution, their doctrines, their dogmas. And sometimes those things, wherever you are on your journey, are necessary for that time, but you don't stay in any grade
Yeah,
in
because
life.
eventually things you don't want will seep in.
Mm-hmm.
because those, especially in any cult situation, there are the negative aspects, and it's just gonna be that because we dealing with humans.
Humans.
It's gonna be that,
At the end
and
of the day.
and when you have something divine by its own right, when you, especially if it's ordained by you, like if it's divine to you, you don't want it to be altered,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a negative way, then you can't stick around because eventually it will. It'll start to seep in because it's like a machine. It'll start to influence your decision making, all kind of stuff. And yeah,
So let's see. We talked about what gave you the courage, talked about why you pulled away. What attracted you to that environment in the first place?
oh man. Well, I enjoy telling this story because when it was fresh, it was new,
Mm-hmm.
and it hit my spirit. So I'm already a big Black history buff, and one of my good friends, good friends, still is. Uh, he introduced me to it because I was on at the time Bobby Hemmett and all that black magic stuff.
Bobby Hemmett, Dr.
Dr.
Phil
Phil Valentine,
Valentine.
incredible
Were you
brothers.
ever a Brother Panic listener? You
No,
never
I've
really
heard
put
about.
me
I
on
don't
him.
even know him.
He was a little darker,
Yeah,
in
I
my
don't even really
opinion.
know him. I don't know him.
But definitely Bobby Hemmett, definitely Phil Valentine. You put me on Phil Valentine.
Incredible
Which was
brothers,
incredible teachers, yes.
but
Dr. Jewel
it's
Pookrum for on the ladies' side.
yeah. It just wasn't what my spirit needed. Though my spirit needed
Structure.
this journey and this step in life, and of course, he introduced me to the scripture in Deuteronomy about the
Mm-hmm.
gifts and the curses, and you know the reason why Black folks were going through what they were going through, and it all resonated. It all resonated, and I this was the only thing ever in life that I dove head first in. Like I was like, this is it. I'm with it. Let's get it. But because it just it fed my love for history,
Mm-hmm.
and spiritually it fed me spiritually. It was tied into God. That was on a soul search for God as well. It's like, well, there's certain things I done been involved in, Rasta, all that, just on my
Mm-hmm.
journey. All those things were necessary, and it was history and God. I'm like, oh yeah, give me more, give me more.
Yes.
So yeah, and also I've developed father figures within this space, and some structure that I felt I needed at such a very young age. What I was like, this was like
You were
2009,
25,
20, between 20,
26.
yeah, between
Like
24 and
26.
25, something like that. But I was
Yeah.
still incredibly young,
Yeah, 25.
and and yeah, it
And
just
I mean, I
took
was
hold.
like 21 at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this was we
yeah,
were young, we
yeah,
were um both on spiritual journeys. I mean, life is a journey,
yeah.
and we are spiritual beings on a journey. So everybody is on a spiritual journey. Um we just get these cars to ride around in.
Right.
But yeah, we were both looking, we were seeking, and seeking is what moved us away from that space. You start
Mm-hmm.
to realize that not only are people on their own agendas, but they're trying to keep me in that box on their agenda as well. And it's not even about me, it's about their ego. And something that for me has been very unique about the spiritual journey in the church cult space, because all of it has pieces in it. All of it has pieces of truth in it, and all of it has pieces of cult-like behavior in it. um, there's a lot of talk and lip service that is paid to dying to yourself and dying to yourself, being born again, those kinds of things. On the spiritual journey, specifically, if you are really journeying, I mean, like doing the work, going deep, going through the dark nights of the soul, all of the ego death that you experience is like none other. It's like none other. It's like taking the training wheels off. I look at now those like, and not to say that we're so evolved in all of this. It's
Right,
just that
the
we
journey
have taken the
continues.
training wheels off.
Right, the journey continues.
We are
We
not
just
afraid to fall off the bike anymore.
right.
And it's like, it's not because we're so good at pedaling. It's because I'm gonna skin this knee a couple times. It's the price that I will have to pay
That's
to
good.
be
That's
able
good.
to really ride this bike.
Yeah.
But I look at those boxes and containers as like training wheels, and some people want to keep the training wheels on forever. Cool. It's not a judgment. It's just to say that when your spirit is saying it's
When your
time to take these
spirit is
training wheels
ready,
off,
it's ready.
it's
really
you better
not,
take the training wheels
it's
off.
really nothing you can do. It's kind of like suicide to fight against it because
Slow, yes, slow suicide.
slowly. Just like I said previously, that
We shouldn't have said that. This is YouTube. They're gonna like flag us.
Oh, well,
don't say it again.
We're sorry, YouTube. I mean,
oh God.
And we little old school too, so we got to get used to these. What you unalive yourself?
We're gonna get it together. Yes, you unalive yourself.
Unalive yourself. Okay, all right. Slowly unalive yourself. But yeah, it's like I said previously. That creates stress. It creates ulcers. It creates all kind of internal diseases. Can we say disease?
We can say disease. And it creates a spiritual depth too, which sometimes is worse than the physical.
Yeah.
Because that feeling of not being on purpose, not being just left of center of where your heart, your soul, your everything is calling you, that feeling and like suppressing that and ignoring that. Oh my goodness. I know because I have been there, like the internal cry that I was crying, forcing myself to go into these environments was a lot stronger than, and I'm still probably dealing with some of the residual physical effects of suppressing that, but that feeling was enough to move me. The physical pain, I think because we deal with physical pain all the time and we just kind of, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
We kind of brush it off, but that spiritual yearning and that spiritual pain, I could not ignore it. And when you kill that part of yourself, I think that's when people get to like hopelessness and like the things that you need to even recover physically.
And for some, it become a machine. So it's like now this is what I'm just doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and you've lost like your creativity, you lost your yearning for creativity to whatever you were here to do. And for many, that is their purpose. For many, it is, and I applaud that and all praises. But when it goes against your spirit, clearly that's not what you're here to do.
Right.
So
this for me too, it's the box of it. The ego needs boxes. It needs to identify with something. It needs to say, I'm better than them. I'm the chosen one. They're not. It needs all of that. And
then that's good enough.
And then that's good enough. That's why they become machines, because their ego has found its puzzle pieces. It's found the things that are like, oh, yep, that clicks. Yep, that clicks. Yep, I feel better about myself here. Yep, I feel better about myself there. Going on a spiritual, deciding to eliminate those boxes, deciding to step out of those boxes and and that was, you know what? I really realize now, we met we met some people when we first really started and stepped into this journey, and they really keyed in on me. They were like, yeah, he gonna be all right, but you really stuck, like you're really wrapped up in it. And I realized, like, my whole life I've been a person who is like, I know who I am. I'm very clear on who I am. I'm very sure of who I am, and like very I am who I am. I believe what I believe. It takes a lot to sway me and all of these things. And that needed to die. It really did, because I know this body. I know this mind and its traumas and its stories and that, but I had no idea really of who I am. I knew the experience of this avatar that I'm inhabiting right now. I had no idea who I am for real.
And it's an ongoing,
And it's an
search.
ongoing discovery. And in order to open yourself up to truly discovering who I am, when God says I am, you are. Like, to really open yourself up to who I am, you have to be willing to let go completely of who you think you are, of what you think you know, of what you think you believe, so that God can introduce itself as you. And that might have been a little ocean floor for y'all, but those of you who know that the journey is calling you there, but yeah, that, for me and for a lot of us, we become so anchored. We are looking for boxes and identities to anchor ourselves to. And then we go through these identity crises, especially men, these identity crises, like, what does it mean to be a man? And what does it mean to be this? And what is all of this? And the antidote to that crisis is creativity, is creating and realizing that you are in constant creation.
Yeah, because you're never gonna be the same. You might decide, okay, this is who I am, but 2, 3, 4 years from now, you might not be that. So you have to constantly be creating, recreating yourself, reinventing yourself, or willing to go through reinventing yourself. Or like, well, this is not being born again. Man, this is not. I'm not really feeling this no more. What does that mean? Now it's that wedge between what you were and what you're gonna be. That middle space, it can be scary, but you have to be willing to go in order to find out your next step in your next part of your journey. You have to go in there, and this is a message to myself, because it's all, and a lot of us could. So I guess I can say a lot of us could kind of prolong that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and we did it. We did it with
that's your choice. That's your choice.
I feel like we did it but at the same time, we got out in time enough before it's like poisons. The poisons of it started to seep in, so we recognize that that's not what we want to happen. And I think I can attribute that to this conversation too. When it's time for you to really embark on your next journey, some things will show up and be like, no, let me move, let me get out, let me go ahead before things get ugly or things don't go the way I want them to go. And we talk about midlife crises and all that, especially with men. I think that's what that is. And you have a big decision to make, because I've seen men, friends of mine, go through midlife crises and they didn't decide to move on. They just decided to be frustrated with where they were and resort to drugs.
Try to go back.
Yeah. And we see a lot of men that get stuck in certain times of their life. So they go back to either they stay there or they go back to a time in their life where it was good. But you was 25 then. You're 60 trying to let me stop. But to my point, You were 25 then.
Right.
And now this is and I feel like you still have a chance. I feel
Oh,
like you still can
always.
rediscover, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us don't because that wedge, that dark space, it can be petrifying to some people. And they just refuse not to go in there and see what life has in store for them next. So I'm gonna be 25. I'm gonna try to be 25. I'm gonna try my best to be 25 again. I'm gonna do when it was better. I'm gonna do this life when it was best for me, even though it don't chemically align
Mm-hmm.
right now. It's not naturally aligning because now I'm 60, but I'm still trying to do this.
And that's fear,
Yeah.
moving from fear. And I realized in this situation, walking away and stepping into my own journey, and as they would say, leaning on my own understanding. I no longer wanted to be in a place where I had to be held out of fear. Like, the only reason that I'm not walking away is because I'm afraid that God is going to punish me, or God is something is going to go wrong, or no, no, because I'm seeing this is wrong and that is wrong, and you're treating people like this, and you're treating your brothers like this, and you're treating your sisters like this, and now there's scandal coming out of this environment, and now there's all these crimes happening. Like, there were so many different things that were like, if the only reason I'm staying here is because you're telling me that you have the ultimate truth and God will be angry if I walk away. God ain't mad at y'all for extortion, murder, uh, bribery, backbiting. God ain't mad at y'all for that. Well, I'm gonna go take my chances. That's how my mind works.
I'm gonna,
I'm gonna take my chances because, listen, I know that God designed for me to have life and that more abundantly. And if I have to be kept here out of fear, then you're spiritually extorting me. That is just what it
and we
is.
talking about keeping ourselves in the box. We cannot put God in the box. It's
Right.
like I've
God
learned
ain't you.
we
Like,
both
people,
learned so much
yeah.
more about the concept of what of or even what who God is. It's like
Yeah.
it's every there's so much more than just see my you know
Human
what my
emotions.
I know you know what I'm gonna tell you.
What?
My religion is what.
Nature is his religion.
So if you want proof of God, you want to witness God, you want to see God, look to nature. I heard a story.
That's very
I heard
true.
something from I remember seeing an interview with Erica Badu one time. I think she was in one of them like somewhere in the east, one of them Buddhist areas,
Oh, like India, Tibet, somewhere like that.
somewhere like that, and
Mhm.
they were all outside of the temple waiting to get in the temple, and they were waiting on one of the
Just say,
priests. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Shaka Khan, Shaka
Hurricane here,
Khan, Shaka
child.
Khan.
Hurricane here.
Hurricane Hissy.
Ah!
But it was like they was waiting on the priest. Hurricane Hissy. They was waiting on the priest, and it was like we
Mhm.
can't start nothing without the priest. So they was all looking around. They were looking at different people, seeing if they see the priest. They were looking at people with robes on, majestic stuff or whatever. They had a little guy sitting right next to her smoking a cigarette. Little scraggly looking. He was smoking a cigarette, and he's finished his cigarette, put it out. He got up and all right, we're ready. That was the priest.
Yes.
And so just the humor of that, just the
Yes.
like the simplicity and the
Mm-hmm.
naturalness of that. It's like, yo, I'm sure whenever God materializes in human form,
Mm-hmm.
it be like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the pomp and circumstances. It's never which he can be, but
Mm-hmm.
it's always simple. And it's nothing simple about gardening, but it is. Like you have to pay attention
It
to
is very
detail.
simple, but it's right, very
You have to pay attention to
detailed.
detail. You have to, you have to nurture it, you have to tend to it and all that. But I find I plant my best plants when I just toss seeds. Like the nurturing, all that gonna come away in it. You still gonna have to do that.
I'm sure Chauncey is in the background watching this, saying,
Chauncey,
"Yep,"
look,
because
Chauncey,
Ty
look,
is on here.
peace to the family. Chauncey, my best man. But when that's my best plan. When I just toss them seeds somewhere, sometimes I've been and forgot what I done put there, but it grows because it's no. Sometimes when we doing stuff meticulously, it could be some kind of fear of it not. Yep, it could be some kind of fear of it not producing.
Mm-hmm.
So and them plants, all that registered in the plants. But when you just do your thing, like it's when you just do that, you just I trust that you're gonna do. I know you're gonna do your thing, and that's pretty much. I feel
That's
how
really
God.
God, man. I was
You know what I'm
just thinking
saying?
about that today, y'all. So I have a class that I've been thinking about doing.
Get ready, y'all. Get ready.
Actually, I'm not gonna tell you about the class tonight, but a little bit. It's for those who have taken the ease experience, but who are like ready to move things in your life. The ease experience, I think, was like, let's get our together. Let's get the stuff together so that we can move things or build something. But this one, and I was like going through the outline, and trust. So the word, but then the mind. We talked about the mouth, the mind. And trust was the thing, because doubt seeds are planted all the time. And the antidote to that is really operating in a place of trust. I know you got me. I know I'm good. I know I'm okay. I know I'm okay. Like I have thrown the seeds out. I water them regularly. I know I'm okay. And so often we do all of those steps. We put the seeds down, we water them, we fertilize them, and then we start doubting. And then we start either being overbearing or we start being negligent of it because, like, well, that's not going to work. Well, I mean, I watered it 3 times already. I watered it 5 times already. It ain't. Maybe they were bad seeds. Maybe and
you have late bloomers.
We start to pull away from that space of trust and start operating in fear rather than trust. And then we think, I say all the time, so many of us are climbing mountains that we were meant to move. When we start operating in fear, we're just standing at the bottom of that mountain like, oh my God, the only way I'm going to get around this is to climb it. Oh my goodness, this one. And it's like, when you're operating in trust, you can just cast your seed because you know you've prepared the ground, because you know that you have good seed. You've taken your time. You have taken the time to build the foundation, the spirit that you need to make whatever circumstances work.
And it'd be them too. So when you doing anything for the first time, it might not come out right. Because you simply don't know.
Back to our conversation we're having.
Yeah.
When we stepped away from this cult-like situation, I think that's a question that a lot of people may have is like, then what? I fell apart. And like literally everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And it wasn't crazy stuff. It was just like life stuff. And
life just happened.
It just was life. And of course, we were like, oh my goodness, are we being punished? Are we being punished for walking away? Are we being punished for whatever? But back to trust, we knew this foundation was built, and that whatever we were facing on the other side of that unknown, we would be okay. Individually, we would be okay. We knew that we had built a spiritual foundation. Even though they tell you, don't study anything else, don't read anything else, whatever. I'm not listening to that. Anybody that tells me not to learn just should know that I'm going to rebel. I'm going to disobey. Okay? Because God said, "Study to show thyself approved and prove all things." So I'm going to
Yeah, because
question.
there's certain things that me the Bible instruct you on, but they don't give you instructions on how to do it. So certain things you're
Mm.
going to have to look outside of
Mm-hmm.
to get the understanding, so you can bring it back to follow what you were instructed on. But like just
Mm-hmm.
like build your gardens and
Build your
houses.
houses, yeah.
So there's nowhere in there. So no, there's nowhere in there that tell you how to do that. So you have to go outside of the scripture and consort to a book that's or something that's going to tell you how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And to credit, I know so a lot of people would go outside and study other spiritual texts or whatever, and may decide that that works for them better, but that's taking members from them. So that's what a lot of the instances may have been with that. There was once
Very
upon a time.
gang. Very
There was
gang.
once upon a time where you were encouraged. So if you wanted to do something else spiritually, or even do your own thing as far as the doctrine that was being taught, you were given a blessing to do so. Then later on down the line, it became, well, if you go, you out of the spirit, or you going off, or any of that, if you decided to do your own thing, and that just goes to how people were discouraged from following their own spirit, from following what they felt inside, whether it was for whatever gain whatever they wanted to do, whatever reason they wanted to do it, why, it's on them. But if they taking the actions of asking for your blessing to do this thing, that means the spirit was moving for whatever they wanted, whatever their reasons was, whether we quote unquote good or bad, it was their reasons to do it. Give them don't try to hold nobody hostage. That was weird to me. Like,
Do
just
you think they ever gave anyone their blessing for real? I
earlier
mean,
on, I don't
or did they
necessarily
just pay
that
lip
so
service to it?
so I can't I can't answer that 100%. I feel like how it was earlier on, I believe that people were given the blessing. And how it ended up, I can also believe that it was lip service too. So I can't really, because I wasn't in the rooms and I
Right.
don't know exactly. But
Right.
I believe that early on that,
Yeah.
yeah, people were given the blessing to go.
Which is why, I get it,
I'm
because
gonna go outside. Let me go on.
even
I'm
in
gonna
the
go. Shit, if
church,
I want to go,
like
I'm gonna
if
go.
you're leaving, if you're an elder or like a respected person in the church, first of all, you are a regular offering. You're a regular tither. So they expect for you to let them know that that money is no longer going to be coming to the church. Um, and more than likely, you're contributing time, volunteering, things like that. It's just so interesting to me because I don't see any of that in Christ's teachings. I don't see that in the way that Christ behaved or behaved with his disciples. Christ wasn't like, "Hey, y'all, I'm going in the mountains for a couple of days. I'm gonna be gone for 40 days." It was like, y'all seen Christ? Where, child, he's gone again. Like, there is a level of autonomy that is required to truly journey with God. And do I believe that you need elders and guides and supports along the way?
Oh yeah, most certainly,
Absolutely.
most certainly.
Absolutely. However, they are not there to
Influence your life. They're gonna give you your guidance, and
right,
now it's your decision. Now
right,
you
right,
have the
right.
decision on the autonomy, like you just said, to go forth and make the best decisions that you
Mm-hmm.
can with the guidance I give you.
Mm-hmm.
Not oh, you can't do that because no.
They're not there to be guardrails. And so often that is the role that they take on, is like, you can't go that far, you can't do that, don't do that, because your journey is your own. And our guides, our teachers, our elders, they give us tools, they give us wisdom, they give us knowledge, they give us a deeper understanding of things. But we have to go on the journey to decide how we are going to apply those things. Are you going to bump your head? Are you going to make mistakes? Are you going to crash out at times? Are you going to have success? Are you going to get to the top of the mountain? Are you going to be in your ego beating on your chest? Like, all of these things are going to happen on the journey, and that's how you will apply the tools that you've been given. um
Yeah, because I mean, you are in charge of saving your own soul. Like even with our children, it's gonna be a point in time
yes.
where I mean, like why are you in this household? We're gonna be guardrails for sure.
You would, there are children,
But
but
when you grown and
mm-hmm,
we can tell you have the capability of making sound decisions.
mm-hmm,
Now, all right, all I can do is give you the guidance, and up until that point is what's been happening. So like I tell my son, especially my oldest, like this moment right now is you learning how to be an adult. This don't
mm-hmm,
beat yourself up about it or none of that. You are learning life right now.
mm-hmm,
But it's gonna be a point in time where I'm trying to help you make decisions that you won't have to suffer from for yourself, because it's gonna be a point in time where you're gonna have to address these situations and whatever decisions you make on your own.
mm-hmm.
But so we adults in them, like you know what I'm saying? We look, this is the guidance given, and it's all, it's about, it's saying collecting souls, like being fishers of men or whatever. And yeah, y'all in it to do that, but you fish, you did you all you can do to help that person save their own soul. If they
Mm-hmm.
decide to go off, it's just their decision. Or
And
if
what is going off, like,
according to
according to their
according to doctrine.
belief. But that is not truth. That is not the truth. There is some truth in that, but that is not the ultimate truth. And what one man sees as you going off could 100% be you drawing closer to God, you going on the path that God has for you,
Man, true.
that will lead you to where you need to be.
And it's so interesting because and I used to teach brothers this, or like in conversation talk about this, like just off natural understanding of it. It's like a building was made just for you to look at it. Like whether it's the Superdome was built in the 80s. You born in 1996. The Superdome was built in the 80s just for you to behold your eyes on it. And that, when we hear truth, when we with the new level of understanding that I have for truth, is what your own subconscious conceptualizes. It's what you collect in your mind and you see as truth, and whatever you do with it is your truth. And that's like, we are microcosms of the universe. So whatever everybody's doing in any moment is what's making all this go around.
Mm-hmm.
So when a person says we have the truth, or we the ones that don't, that's some box
That's
shit.
ego.
You
That
know what I'm
is
saying?
ego.
And it's like we knowing what I know now, that's a red flag. You have to be careful with that, because nobody has your truth at all, let alone the truth. What is the truth? So truth is
And
is
it's a
is
very, very limited thing. Oh my goodness. That particular walk that we were, it is such a limited truth. Such a limited truth. Um, and
is usher.
limits make people feel safe. So I totally understand the draw of being there, staying there, wrapping your identity in that experience finding your safety and your security and your certainty in the
And
world
even
there,
community, people,
finding
find
community,
that's the
that
closest thing there is a
feels
community.
safe to a lot of people. And to others, that being limited feels very unsafe. Because if I know that God is unlimited and God's desire is to express through me, and I'm putting myself in a limited experience, then I'm not fully allowing God room to be expressed in my life. So that does not feel safe, because I know the kinds of situations I end up in. And I say this as someone who messes up all the time in this walk. Like, I know the experiences that I create for myself when I agree to the limits rather than agreeing to the limitlessness of God. When I agree to, well, I better stay in this box because this is how it goes and this is what it means to be an adult or responsible or a woman or whatever have you, the circumstances that I create often mirror those limits. So that to me is scarier. But for some people who maybe have um, allowed themselves to be unmindful or free in ways that are destructive or harmful, um, they feel like they need those limits in order to rein it all back in. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's okay. Um, And sometimes you graduate from that and you realize, you know what, this is not God in the fullness. And I'm going to continue my searching and seeking. So, yeah, it's been over an hour though, so I don't want to keep y'all all night. We could really talk about this forever because we are in it now and there's so much to it. But yeah.
And we can also be guides too.
We can be guides. We can be supportive for those of you who desire that. Um, we have done some couples work in the past and deeply, deeply enjoyed it. Some of our couples are probably on here, but if that's something that you are interested in having a listening ear, an accepting environment, a calming, unapologetic, unfiltered space where you can ask questions, get resources, be supported. We both read a ton of books and like actually apply things, especially for those who may have families, because we raised our children in that lifestyle. So we also had to navigate that redirecting the
them.
children
Yeah.
and helping them to evolve and all of that. So if that is support that you desire, then definitely reach out to us. We're here to help. We are here to guide. And I have been a coach for over 10 years with a complete format and all of that. So know that you will actually get guided coaching support, but also for this spiritual side of the journey. So, yeah, if that's something that you want, reach out on Instagram, Feminine Success, YouTube. Here you can comment, I'll reach back to you. Or you can reach out to him if you are a brother, because his work with brothers, if y'all didn't see, I shared yesterday, one of his mentees recently got engaged, and it is the sweetest thing.
So yeah, for anybody that don't know my platform,
Yes, he is
Show Thyself a Man on Instagram, on all platforms actually. And yeah, reach out.
Hold on.
How we?
Okay.
What we doing? What we doing? There we go. There we go.
Okay.
And I could have said that, but I just wanted to be dramatic and
Yes, show thyself a man, feminine success. Yeah, we definitely, I plan to continue this conversation. If y'all want more of him on here, just let me know. But I have some sisters who have agreed so graciously to come on and share their experiences, because they have also walked away from high control situations and cult situations and all of that.
Y'all know y'all want me. Y'all know y'all
Oh my
want me.
God.
Y'all want me back.
Anyway,
It's all love. Welcome home too.
Yes,
for those
welcome
who
home
know.
for those who have been here for all these years, way back in Periscope days. Welcome home. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. We'll talk to you soon. Peace and love. Now I have to figure out how to, okay, how to end the stream.